It is a big, strong, experienced Munster pack. An all-international front row. Donogh O'Callaghan, 90 times cap for Ireland in the second row. And current Irish international Peter O'Mahony with 9 Irish caps in the back row. So a rather formidable Munster forward pack. Behind the scrum, international halfbacks Conor Murray and Ian Keatley. Watch out for new recruits Casey Loilala and James Downey in the centre. Dennis Hurley, also an Irish international at fullback, and the man leading Munster this season, 62 New Zealand caps. Their top try scorer, the formidable Dougie Howlett. Referee is the man who refereed the World Cup final in 2007, Anna Roland, fast approaching the half-century of appearances in this Rabo Direct Pro 12 league. So big changes certainly for the Ulster side. Only 3 of the Ulster players played in the corresponding game at Ravenhill at the start of the season. 9 from Munster. Munster fielding 11 internationals and Ulster only 2. Niall O'Connor gets this game underway. Knocked forward immediately by Munster and scooped up by Ulster. Paul Marshall waits. Robbie Dyack stands back. Support from Mike McComish. Stevenson back to full fitness is in there as well. O'Connor. Luke Marshall, good angle by Adam Darcy, well tackled though by Casey Loilala, the All Black. And Munster have won the first battle at the breakdown, and that's a turnover by them. Conor Murray to Ian Keatley. Well, Munster posting intention to run this. Nicely moved Simon Zebo with a run and then the kick. Well covered by Gilroy. Munster have made the best part of 50 metres from that turnover. Paul Marshall, better by Ulster. Just nudged forward, wasn't the greatest pass in the world. Callum Black couldn't hold. Roger Wilson in there as well. First scrum of the evening.
I think it's going to be the theme of this evening, Jim. I think even though the rain has stopped for now, it's been raining very heavily for the last hour, and I think from that kick-off we saw an immediate knock-on from Munster and subsequently one from Ulster as well. And the ball will be greasy. As soon as that ball hits the floor, it's going to carry a little bit of moisture on it, and the guys are going to be very, very careful of possession and holding on that ball, and we'll not see a lot of 50-50s, I wouldn't imagine, early on in this game.
Well, big test for this Ulster front row. Callum Black on the near side, but Rob Herring in the middle and Adam Macklin on the tight head side. Good squeeze by Munster, control of the back by Paddy Butler, and Anna Roland gives a penalty rather ominously in the first scrum against Ulster. And they decided to take matters into their own hands, and they shouldn't be doing that. Peter O'Mahony getting involved when he probably didn't need to. PJ Bota putting a big squeeze on Callum Black. That's a very, very good Munster scrummage.
Well, we knew that would be a feature of this evening, and in previous weeks we've seen just how a dominant scrum has pretty much led to the outcome of the game, and it's one area where Ulster have made obviously a number of changes. Adam Macklin in for his first start this season, and he'll be under the cosh early on, and obviously Munster will look to try and exert some dominance in that area, and obviously early on they forced a penalty, and that's the perfect start from their point of view.
And it all came from a turnover. Ian Keatley, his 36th game for Munster, having played almost 60 for Connacht over the previous couple of seasons. Fast approaching 300 points in this Pro 12 competition. Capped twice by Ireland in 2009 on the tour to North America. This for the perfect start for the home side. Has he drawn that in? Certainly has. Nice kick by Ian Keatley. Confident kick from a confident side. And Munster straight into the lead.
Yeah, it's very important from an Ulster point of view that they don't allow Munster to build too much of a lead early on. This side has come down. There's been a lot of speculation that it's a weak side, a second string side. Munster will be very confident of attaining the win tonight, so it's important, I say, Ulster don't allow them to get an early start and run away with it.
Niall O'Connor with the restart, gathered in this time by Munster. Set up by the home pack. Murray. Good covering by Roger Wilson. Hint of a high tackle, but the referee's happy enough with that. Paul Marshall. Luke Marshall. Well covered at the back. Ian Keatley. Robbie Dyack with the cover. Luke Marshall again. That's just about vertical. Darcy chasing and does well. Paul Marshall, chance now for Ulster. They can shift this. Callum Black, Lewis Stevenson. Good driving run by Stevenson. Missed 6 games in a row. Somebody got in the way there. Was that a lazy bit of running? O'Connor with a snap drop at goal. And that wasn't too far away. Now, was there interference there, Bryn?
It certainly looked like it. It was a good early forage by Lewis Stevenson there. He'll be keen to make an impression, just back from injury. He's a very physical player, likes to carry a lot of ball, and getting over the gain line nice and early there, getting Ulster on the front foot is very, very important early on, and I think Paul Marshall was unfortunate there that there wasn't a bit of interference.
Keatley with the restart, giving us forward something to chase. Well claimed once again by Ulster and by the skipper Roger Wilson. That's good driving by the Ulster pack. Taken in, and Alan Rowland has given the scrum to Munster. Marshall asking for some clarification. Well, that's great number 8 play by Roger Wilson. He took the ball and he turned the body round, and despite the attention of Donegal O'Callaghan, he held it up, and well, Munster did well, and Ulster couldn't get the ball to ground in time. Donegal O'Callaghan now with 90 Irish international caps. Beside him, Billy Holland, the son of a former Irish international second row.
Well, that's one area Ulster will have to be very careful with. Roland is typically a referee that blows quickly at the breakdown. If you don't release the ball early, he often gives a penalty or the scrum to the other side, to the opposition, to the defending side. So it's important Ulster clear that breakdown quickly.
Free kick against Munster for early engagement. Taken quickly. Here's Wilson. Plenty of support, and again Munster trying the choke tackle. Hasn't worked. Marshall, Adam Macklin, back from injury, having played a couple of games for the Ulster Ravens. Marshall again. Niall O'Connor, Luke Marshall, Michael Allen. Good covering there by Munster. And their centre, James Downey, formerly of the Northampton Saints. Knocked forward by Munster, and Ulster will get the scrum. But Munster will be looking to put the pressure on.
This is a very important scrum now for Ulster. We can see early on Luke Marshall, Michael Allen. Be interesting to see how that combination goes this evening. 2 young guys looking to make an impression. Certainly Luke Marshall has been very, very good so far this season, and Michael Allen is somebody that has blossomed under Mark Anscombe's coaching tenure so far. He likes somebody who's physical, who doesn't shirk the tackle area, and certainly Michael Allen will look to try and get in Casey Lalala's face as much as possible tonight, because that's certainly one area he'll have his work cut out.
And a Rowland just telling the Munster hooker Damien Vardy that they went early in the last scrum. DJ Bota, 3 seasons with Ulster, remember. This time it was Ulster's turn to go early. Taken quickly by Paddy Butler, the number 8. Good support from Billy Holland. Conor Murray. Vian Dupreer, the 1-times capped Springbok. Keatley, bit of width on it. Laulala, who's always very tricky, and into touch, and that should be an Ulster line-out. Oh, must have come off an Ulster player, because the touch judge on the far side, Sean Gallagher, has given it to Munster.
And that was good defence by Ulster. Michael Allen defends well. He allows Laulala the outside, knows he has a pace to take him into touch. As I mentioned earlier, he's physical, he doesn't shirk the tackle area, and unfortunately balls just come off an Ulster hand, and Munster have the line out. But certainly good defensive work from Ulster. What they'll have to do though is make sure that at the breakdown area they don't allow Munster to generate quick ball, and on a couple of occasions there Munster cleared the ruck very quickly and had the overlap on the outside.
Farley, O'Callaghan, Murray into a little bit of space. That's a very clever kick. Play on, says the referee. Good work by Michael Allen. Needs to just set it up and keep his composure. Paul Marshall, Niall O'Connor. Well, position kick by Niall O'Connor. And Keatley may dot it down for the 22. It's not going to run dead, which would have meant the scrum back from the point where Niall O'Connor kicked it. So that's a good kick by Niall O'Connor, and Ulster want to play the game, needless to say, in Munster's half.
They will. They want to play territory. It's an interesting little option there by Munster. We've seen them do that a couple of times already this season. The kick was probably a little bit more midfield than intended. Certainly was more for Zebo coming through on the shorter angle, and Ulster will just have to be careful in the backline defence there that they cover those kicks.
Good kick by Keatley. Knocked back. Well claimed on the ground by Munster though. Bota winkles the ball back with that size 10 of his. Referee says use it. Varley does use it into McComish and Stevenson. That's good work by the Ulstermen, restored to the starting 15, and Ulster holding them up. Well, the crowd are booing, I don't know why. It's still churning forward, so Alan Rowland thought about the whistle and has decided against it. Down it goes, back in the Munster side. Here's Keatley. Simon Zebo popping up at inside centre. That looked a wee bit forward, but play on once again. Paddy Butler taking a Lone Ranger stance out in the wing. Murray, Keatley. That's flat and knocked forward. Good pressure by Ulster in the middle of the park.
I think justice was done there. I thought it was excellent work by McComish and Stevenson to hold the player up. McComish got off the line very early and Stevenson came in his physicality, used to the fore, and I was very, very surprised there Roland didn't blow a little bit earlier there for being held up in the tackle. We call it the choke tackle. It's used so effectively, particularly by Ulster this season, and I think Ulster probably should have had the scrum out of that, so they'll be happy to come away and have possession now in and around the 10-yard line.
I'm asking you to wait.
Seems to be a bit of a stoppage for an injury.
You anticipated the last scrum. They did the one before that. Please wait for my call.
Alan Rowland's had a word with both sets of forwards about early engagement. So Munster management will be reasonably pleased at the start they've made. Only 3 points between them though.
We all good?
Just in the middle of all that, Frankie Sheehan, and beside him on his right, Peter Clohessy, the man who can leave his car unlocked anywhere he likes in Limerick.
I certainly wouldn't steal it.
Definitely not. Tommy O'Donnell with the head protector on, the old scrum cap. Well, I thought he was going to blow for a free again, but having spoken to the front rows, but it seemed to be all right.
Both front rows, you both anticipated the early call. Now I'm asking you, I'm putting the responsibility on you, you wait for my call, okay? Otherwise we'll have to go further, okay? All right? No point saying yeah when I spoke to you off time and you said you do it and you haven't gone and done what you're supposed to do. Here we are now.
Well, now you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Donnacha O'Callaghan, what a great man he's been. 202 caps for Munster.
Crouch! Touch! Set!
That looks a bit better. Marshall has to get it in, he does. Munster whipping that round. Roger Wilson, nicely done. Paul Marshall. Niall O'Connor with a bit of gas. Allen. Good work by Allen. Bounced Doug Howlett, which doesn't happen too often. Better stuff by Ulster. Niall O'Connor. Adam Macklin really got clattered by a couple of Munster forwards, but well released by Macklin. Good call by Adam Darcy for Ulster. Got through the gap, lost his footing. McComish, Paul Marshall, Neil McComb. Quicker ball once again, Marshall, Gilroy, Luke Marshall, Wilson, McComish just squeezed into touch. Munster have got themselves offside. Conor Murray, I think, the culprit, and Ulster have the penalty, and that's good enterprise by this Ulster side.
Yeah, very good play by Ulster there. First of all, we saw Michael Allen. We saw his strength there in contact, and not afraid to have a go at Dougie Howlett. Great hands by Luke Marshall later on in the action there, but obviously Munster were offside there. But good enterprise, good play by Ulster. We saw Adam Macklin just getting pushed back. Munster up very, very quick in defence, but Ulster did well to reorganise themselves. We saw Adam Darcy as well, which we've seen with Jared Payne so much this year already, hitting that blind side at pace. And Adam Darcy will look to do the same and try to generate some attacking opportunities that short side.
Johnny Bell, David Humphreys, and in the black, Mark Anscombe. Just about 13 minutes played. And this chance for Niall O'Connor. Another man who had a spell with Connacht. Fine drizzle starting to come down here at Thomond Park. Ooh, he scuffed that very badly. Not a good contact at all. He just rushed it a little bit, snatched at it somewhat. Not the smooth rhythm we normally see from Niall O'Connor. He really gave that a stab rather than a stroke.
Yeah, it wasn't a strike he was looking for. Certainly the ground will be wet underfoot. The foot placement will be very important, and sometimes that enters into the kicker's head.
Keatley. Well, a wonderful take once again by Ulster skipper Roger Wilson. Paul Marshall. Robbie Dyack. Support by McComb. Dyack can push back a little bit, but he's released the ball, and the rain is really teeming down now. Here's Luke Marshall. Last time he was here was he was playing in the colours of the Ireland A side against Fiji. And Dyack's made good ground. That was a ferocious bit of tackling by James Downey. Paul Marshall. McComish needs to give it. He does. Here goes Luke Marshall. Good acceleration by Luke Marshall. Gets away from a couple of defenders. Ulster into Munster's 22. Oh dear, not the greatest pass in the world, and O'Connor in two minds as to what to do with that. Did he kick it or did he try to pick it up? And in the end he tried to pick it up, but this is encouraging stuff.
Yeah, no, very good play. Nice hands by McComish and very, very good by Marshall. We saw him early on carry the ball in two hands there that allowed him to make the decision whether to pass or whether to continue with the run, and he found a little hole and managed to get through. Obviously disappointing how it finished. It'll be a difficult passing game for the scrum halves. We just saw the rain has just started to teem down in the last minute, and that'll make that ball a bit greasier again. It'll mean the 10 might have to stand a little bit closer to the 9 just to make those passes a little bit easier.
It is chucking it down, and we are getting very wet here in our comedy position. However, 3-0 to Munster. Their scrum, bit of a squeeze by Ulster. Mike McComish told to keep binding. Murray, Keatley. I think the pass was inside the 22. Well taken by Adam Darcy. And that's not a bad kick. It's kept in field, gathered in by Dennis Hurley. Tackle was by Luke Marshall. Quicker ball. Well, there were men over on the near side. Good cover by Niall O'Connor outside his 22. That's bounced awkwardly. All the way back goes Hurley. Hasn't made that much in the way of ground, and Ulster will be reasonably happy coming up to the end of the first quarter, but 16.5 minutes played, only 3 points between them.
I think Ulster will be more than reasonably happy in that last play, Jim. Just in front of us, I think we saw at least a 3-man overlap here that Keatley actually squandered. I know the conditions are poor, but you still have to take those opportunities when they come along, and he decided to kick, and it was a poor kick, and it allowed Niall O'Connor to get some territory.
I was thinking of sending you back to the car and get the brolly, but then I remember we don't have a brolly. Herring. Disrupted line out by Munster. Keatley. This time they do move it. Here's Downey, Loilala, Hurley in the line. Howlett outside. And they have to kick yet again, looking for territory. It's going to be an Ulster line out. And as the rain comes teeming down, catching the ball at the line out is going to be more and more difficult.
Yeah, you can see good defence just shadowing out there. Good by Michael Allen again, forcing Munster into the kicking option, and Ulster will be happy enough if Munster have to do that time and time again. It allows Ulster to get their hands on the ball, to continue to make their way into this game, to build phases, and they'll certainly be happy enough at this stage of the game.
Rob Herring into a 5-man Ulster line-out. Good take by Neil McComb. Marshall does well. That's staying infield. Who's underneath it? The answer is Murray.
They must get out of the 10 first.
Ulster get themselves offside. The referee is saying that they have to retreat away from that 10-metre area before the ball was kicked.
I think that caught all the forwards by surprise. They didn't realise that the kick from Marshall had basically gone straight up, and they would have had to retreat back instead. But again, we saw Munster make the mistake, and I think there's no doubt that the ball in the air is going to be a tactic used most of this evening. There's going to be a lot of mistakes under that ball. The ball's going to bounce anywhere. It's going to be greasy, and whichever team looks after the ball best in the contact area, I would imagine, will come out as victors this evening.
Well, Munster are now inside Ulster's 22 for actually the first time in this game, and we played 18.5 minutes. It's a full 7-man Munster line out. The old pro himself, Donnacha O'Callaghan, takes it nicely, but alas for Munster, Damien Varley's throw was not straight. Ulster have opted for the scrum. That was anything but straight.
Well, as you just mentioned, Jim, it's going to be a tough night for the hookers as well, throwing in, so they'll have to be getting the balls obviously wiped dry by the ball boys all evening if they want to get a chance of getting a perfect throw in.
Another scrum. It's an Ulster scrum, but they've been under pressure from the outset in this particular area.
Touch! Set!
Penalty against Munster, and Ulster will be pretty relieved with that. Not a bad Ulster scrum under a bit of pressure. Roger Wilson controls the ball so well at the back. Nick Williams is the more explosive man. He's not on the squad this particular game. He's maybe more explosive off the back, but Roger Wilson's control is excellent.
Roger Wilson's been outstanding, and he's been in very, very good form for Ulster this season, but he's particularly good form when he moved to Northampton for a couple of years. He was one of the standouts eights, you know, week in, week out, and I think that's one of the big things that people recognised him for in the Premiership was his control at the base of the scrum. He offers stability there, particularly with a scrum going backwards.
20 minutes now gone, 3-0 to Munster. Rob Herring. Wilson at the front, well tidied up by Herring. Good control, Paul Marshall, Callum Black into Donnacha O'Callaghan, who never shirks a tackle. Niall O'Connor. Well taken by Zebo, who got caught by Darcy. Away came Dennis Hurley. Quicker ball now for Munster. This could be interesting. Donnacha O'Callaghan. Penalty against Munster for a side entry.
2 red, side entry.
2 red, Damien Varley.
Well, that was great work by Robbie Diak, up very, very quickly in defence, put pressure on the poor pass by Murray. As soon as that ball goes to deck, that's whenever the pressure is going to come on from the defensive sides. And we see here, good little passage of play there by Zebo, offloading to Hurley. But there, Donnacha O'Callaghan had to pick up off the deck, and Robbie Diak up very, very quick, and Callum Black in there as well to help out.
Yeah, Damien Varley just straight in from an offside position. So chance now with civil 21 minutes gone for Niall O'Connor, having missed with a penalty 5 or 6 minutes ago, to get Ulster on the board.
Well, you've got your penalty over here for them not going straight. So
Roger Wilson and Anna Rowland having a bit of a chat.
No problem.
Well, that's more like it from Niall O'Connor. Nicely stuck by Ulster's outside half, and we are on level terms. Nearly 22 minutes played, and there's 3 apiece. What a good kick.
That was a lovely kick by Niall O'Connor. Everybody knows he's got a very, very good technique. He only takes a couple of steps, but he's got great, great timing, and obviously he'll put that first strike well and truly behind him, and be glad to get Ulster off the mark now and 3 points on the board.
Bit of indecision on the part of Ian Keatley. Looked to his right and looked to his left, and now he's come to his right. McComb with the catch. Butler and Holland with the tackle.
5 out of there.
Billy Holland penalised. Ulster just maintaining their discipline, which they must do for the whole 80 minutes.
Oh, absolutely, and the restarts will be crucial. Obviously, with that ball being a little bit greasy, it'll be difficult for the second rows in particular, catching that ball over their heads. But as you see, Niall O'Connor just missed touch with that.
Yep, Dougie Howlett gathers. Simon Zebo onto that left foot of his, and he hasn't missed his touch. Yeah, you must. I mean, you must find their touch. You must find their touch from situations like that, because not only have you conceded possession, you've given the ball back to the opposition.
No, absolutely, and Niall O'Connor will be disappointed with that. Probably went for just a little bit too much on that. But I saw Neil McComb there, taking a good restart again. Neil McComb's been a much improved player this season, and he's done a great job when coming in for a couple of the injured second loads.
Free kick against Munster for closing the gap, and in fact was an Ulster throw, because it wasn't a penalty, it was kicked from inside the Munster 22, so it was an Ulster throw.
Closing the gaps.
So what is Niall O'Connor going to do? He'll get some advice from Roger Wilson, who I think wants the Gary Owen, which means everybody's going to have to chase this. Ooh, that's a towering kick from O'Connor, spilled by Hurley. So it's worked out to Ulster's advantage after all.
Yeah, I think we mentioned a couple of minutes ago, it's going to be used an awful lot, this tactic. Put the ball in the air. It's maybe not that pretty, but it's definitely going to afford a number of knock-ons, and now it's given Ulster a great attacking platform to be able to have a split field scrum, just on the 22, gives them opportunities, attacking opportunities. Hopefully we'll see something utilised here, and we'll get the backs seeing an open play here, seeing full flow, and there's lots of pace here coming onto the ball.
Well, in the city where the club Gary Owen comes from, that was the classic Gary Owen up and under kick from Niall O'Connor. It yielded a scrum for Ulster. Only 25 minutes played, still in level terms.
Touch, set.
Oh, what a drive by Munster. Wilson couldn't gather, but it went backward. Little chip through by Paul Marshall, gathered in by Hurley and off the outside of his foot. So it hasn't worked out too badly for Ulster, but you can see the effect of a powerful scrummage.
Yeah, and there's no doubt Ulster were on the back foot there, and Marshall probably left with no real option, and Hurley showed the fact that he doesn't have a left foot there. That's something that Ulster should take note of. If they're probing kicks through, he's certainly not comfortable about putting it on the left foot and trying to hit it downfield.
Rob Herring, good take by Dyack, and back inside for a driving maul by Ulster. Munster can't afford to drag this one down. Referee is calling it still a maul. Munster crowd saying that Ulster have to lose it, and they will have to lose it. Donica, Billy Holland got the hand in there. Back inside to Luke Marshall. That's good support play by the Ulster forwards. Robbie Dyack. Quicker ball, good switch by Marshall. Adam Macklin just couldn't hold it. Well, for a prop forward, Adam Macklin's hands are normally excellent. Well, a slippery ball on a wet night. Took it in his chest, couldn't quite hold it. Pity.
It was a pity, because they had a couple of men over, and it was a very good option to hit back in the blind side. Niall O'Connor spotted the space there, and unfortunately it was maybe just a little bit too much in the pass, and Adam Macklin was unable to take that. But that's encouraging stuff from Ulster. They'll look to pose some questions of this Munster defence.
Paddy Butler, the 22-year-old, in the wars a little bit. Irish under 20 international, a member of the Irish Junior World Cup squad of a couple of seasons ago. Another great up-and-coming Munster back row forward, playing alongside Peter O'Mahony, who's only 23, and Tommy O'Donnell, who's only 25. Damien Varley is having a little word with the referee Alain Roland, just complaining, I think, about, or pointing out something about the way the Ulster front row are scrummaging. Mind you, you wouldn't know, but because Ulster are slightly the stronger in that area at the moment. Munster's scrum, 26.5 minutes gone, nothing between them. Penalty for Ian Keatley, the one by Niall O'Connor, if you're just joining us. I think territorially Ulster may have just actually slightly dominated this game.
Crouch. Touch. Set.
BJ Boda got a very good hit, but Callum Black's come back at him. Ulster have pinched that one. Terrific work at the scrum by Ulster. Here's Niall O'Connor. A little bit lobby, but good support play by the Ulster pack. Mike McComish is in there. Paul Marshall, Niall O'Connor, Luke Marshall. Sweet little dummy. needs a bit of help, gets it from Michael Allen. Paul Marshall. Soft little pop up to Robbie Dyack. Billy Holland in the middle of all of that. There's Callum Black, taken by his opposite number, Vian Duprere. Good ball by Ulster. Niall O'Connor, well taken by Craig Gilroy off his wing. Lost the footing. Penalty to Munster. Gilroy holding on in the contact, but a decent Ulster attack.
It was a good Ulster attack. It's unfortunate how it petered out. I think we can see there again the conditions and the amount of rain that's fallen isn't going to help the likes of a Craig Gilroy, who's very, very quick on his feet. He likes to jink and he likes to accelerate and change of pace, and that's obviously not always conducive to a wet ground where it's a little bit slippery. So Ulster just, whenever they get into those areas, and they've certainly dominated territory so far, whenever they get in those areas in the 22, they maybe just want to keep it a little bit tighter, just take their forwards around the corner, make sure they get numbers to the breakdown, just secure that ball. That will keep the pressure on, and that will start to wear down the Munster defence, and then that will create opportunities for them in the wide channels.
Last time, of course, Craig Gilroy was here. He scored a hat-trick for the Irish Wolfhounds against Fiji. Good take at the line-out by Munster. Rob Herring doing the holding job. Lewis Stevenson has to get round into an onside position. Well, there's a typical Munster maul, driving, and here comes Murray. Keatley, bit of adjustment, does well, gets through the gap. Bad tackling by Ulster, great chance. Laulala, Hurley with Howlett outside him. Great covering by Craig Gilroy. Murray thought he saw a gap. That's how close they are. 2 or 3 metres drive by O'Donnell. Held up by Ulster. Referee right on the spot. Good covering defence by Ulster, but all the pressure coming from Munster. And at this level, you fall off a tackle, you're in serious trouble. And Munster have the 5 metre scrum.
Yeah, well, that all just came from 1 or 2 defenders shooting out a line. That's the thing that you just cannot do. You must keep the integrity of the defence. That caused the gap to materialise. Munster's passing was clinical and maybe should have gone out. A last pass there, Murray snipes for the line, and it ended up very, very good Ulster defence to hold them out. But Ulster just have to be careful there. If they're going to go off to try and block those passes, they have to go up in 2s and 3s, not often individuals.
I think that's Adam Macklin's in a little bit of trouble. This is Keatley, a little bit of readjustment, maybe just full Luke Marshall. Cover from Niall O'Connor, just wasn't there quickly enough. Here goes Hurley. He had no one outside him. Well, he did actually, he had Howlett outside him, but he opted to come back inside. And Murray was so close, and good covering by Ulster. And very good covering by Chris Cochran, and then Michael Allen got himself in the middle of all of that, and Ulster just managed to hold them up, but for how much longer? Macklin seems to be fine. Big scrum coming up.
It's a big scrum, and it was very, very good scramble defence, particularly from the back 3 there, but they were put under that pressure because 1 or 2 of the inside Ulster defenders just shot out of line. That's what put Luke Marshall under a little bit of pressure. He didn't know whether to drift out or stay in, and again we saw the soft ground. He just lost his footing slightly and that allowed Keatley to go straight through.
Almost half an hour gone, 3 apiece, but this is the most important scrum of the game so far. Callum Black calling for Robbie Dyack to add a bit of weight. Scrum collapses inward. Black under a wee bit of pressure. On the narrow side, Peter O'Mahony looking at the touch judge on this side, who's Dudley Phillips, as if to say Ulster were collapsing that.
Work harder. Here we are. Yep.
That's just how close they are.
Not before the ball.
Doug Howlett, interestingly, standing directly behind his outside half, Ian Keatley. But I have a feeling if they get the strike right, they'll be going for the pushover, if not the penalty try. Good squeeze by Ulster, controlled by Paddy Butler. Munster crowd here with Thoman calling for the heave. Up comes the scrum. Alan Rowland's going to ask them to do it again. Started off quite well for Ulster, and then the pressure gradually got to them. They had to pop up, but no penalty incurred.
Well, Ulster will take a lot of confidence from that. They certainly got the initial nudge on. They held Munster at bay, but then Munster just got a little bit of momentum going, and they'll probably look to do exactly the same again, and Ulster will have to refocus again.
Robbie Dyack Robbie Jack really has to stay down on the near side, on the flank of the Ulster scrum, just to give Callum Black that little bit of extra support. Tom Court just warming up. I think they must be concerned about Adam Macklin. So Court might be pressed into service on the tight head side. It's a good squeeze yet again, and Ulster get a bit of a drive on, but this is better by Munster. Referee has given the penalty against Ulster for the front rows coming up, and Munster, I'm pretty sure, will take the scrum again and go for the 5 and possibly 7 points rather than the 3 for the penalty. Doug Howlett, I don't think, was consulted about that. Donnacha O'Callaghan will have said, let's go for the scrum again. Well, I wonder would they do it if it was Court best in a FOA. Somehow perhaps not, but never mind.
I think from Ulster's perspective, they just have to keep that initial head on. Those last 2 scrums, they actually held Munster without any difficulty for the opening couple of seconds. They just got to try and continue that and hold them and not allow Munster to gain that momentum.
Murray again. Referee's playing on. He's given another penalty for dropping. Interestingly, Ulster got the penalty try against Leinster at Ravenhill last week after only 1 warning. If anything goes wrong with this scrum from a Munster or an Ulster perspective, I'm pretty sure Alan Rowland will go straight underneath the Ulster posts. So third and last chance maybe for Ulster to relieve the pressure, and the pressure is enormous.
I'm coming over this side.
Rowland is telling everybody he's coming over to the Ulster loose head side. And BJ Bota is scrummaging against Callum Black. So he's leaving the Adam Macklin Ulster tight head side to sort itself out against Vayan Dupree. Down they go. Better squeeze. Referee's given the penalty try. It was inevitable. Collapsing, he reckons. And that gives Munster the lead once again. And all the Munster backs have run in to pat the Ulster forwards, and particularly BJ Bota for the pressure he's put on the Ulster front row. You felt that was coming, Bryn, but it all came from Ulster missing tackles in the middle of the park.
It did, and there's no doubt the writing was on the wall there. After the second or third penalty, you knew that it was only a matter of time before the penalty try would be awarded. Just a little bit too much pressure coming through. We knew at the start of the game it was going to be an area maybe of concern for Ulster. It's a relatively inexperienced front row from Ulster against a fairly seasoned and hardened front row, obviously, from Munster. And as an 8, you know, they've obviously pushed hard and pushed in unison and pushed well there. And Ulster will be disappointed. It just shows, though, that territory is going to be crucial in this game. If they allow Munster to get into their 22 and get into a scrummaging position, then they're going to be under the cosh.
Just about 6 minutes to go to half-time, and Munster now leading by 10 points to 3. Good take in his knees by Munster, and Paddy Butler, who seems to be fine again. Conor Murray shapes to kick and does kick. That's a belter. Wilson magnificent under the high ball. And Donnacha O'Callaghan up quickly for such a great veteran. And Munster have won the scrummage, and that's playing right into their hands. Ulster didn't get enough people in behind Roger Wilson, and Paul Marshall has been binned.
Well, that was all about urgency, wasn't it? Roger Wilson actually did very well. It was an excellent kick by Conor Murray. Put Wilson under a lot of pressure. He took the ball well, with Zebo bearing down on him, managed to get the ball away. But obviously what happened from there was Chris Cochran was left isolated, and there wasn't enough urgency from the Ulster forwards to get in around him and try and support that ball, with Donnacha O'Callaghan and 3 or 4 other Munster forwards bearing on top of him. It was always going to be a tough ask for him to get that ball to deck.
Mike McComish is injured, and Dougie Howlett has just asked why the sin binning took place, and Alan Rowland mentioned use of the foot. Not like Paul Marshall, I have to say, but the broad back of Donnacha O'Callaghan, maybe the temptation was too much. I suspect that Donnacha O'Callaghan didn't even feel that, but Ulster may well feel it, because they were without their scrum half for the remainder of this half, and 5 minutes at the start of the second half. Mike McComish is taking on some water, so I think he's going to be all right. There was the clever kick.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent kick by Murray. Say, put Wilson under a little bit of pressure. Wilson does well, but it's at this stage here. We've just lost the pictures there, but it was at that stage where the players needed to get on to Cochrane as quickly as possible. Said it was always going to be very, very difficult against 3 or 4 forwards for him to bide enough time. So yet again, Munster have got the territory and they're going to put pressure with Ulster now down to 14 men.
Well, they'll be looking to perhaps force another scrummage. They're a bit far out for a driving penalty try, but if Munster catch this and drive it toward the Ulster line and then force the scrummage, there could be another try before the interval. Taken at the front, and when it goes to the front, there's only one thing they're going to do, and that's drive it forward, and they're doing just that. Niall O'Connor's in the middle of it all, probably pressed into service at scrum half. Here come the Munster pack again. Now they'll have to play at Damien Varley, looking to pick up and drive. Gone to ground. Butler. Good defence by Ulster. Herring was in there. Here come Munster again. Ulster's line in their sights as half-time approaches. Murray on the narrow side. Zebo has a go himself. Support by Downey. I think he nudged that forward. Referee waiting for advantage to Ulster. Paul Marshall at outside half and gets it away. That's a good strike by Marshall, but the respite, I'm sure, is only going to be temporary. Ulster be pretty relieved with that.
I think what we've seen there is the Munster of new as opposed to the Munster of old, and the Munster of old would have kept that nice and tight, and they would have just taken one-off runners, used their forward pack to dominate. The weather conditions now are very, very poor. Rob Penny has come in and he wants to play an expansive game. Obviously with this Munster side, people have asked questions about that, whether this Munster side is capable of doing that. Whenever the conditions are like this and they're inside the 22, then they just have to keep it a little bit tighter.
4 instance, 3-4 instance when the whistle's gone, we've had players in each other's faces, it's finished. Okay? I've got it coming in from both touch judges, I'm seeing it myself. I'm asking you now to deal with it at half time. When the whistle goes, everything stops. If it continues and goes into something else, I can't be held responsible for what happens next. You will dictate what happens next. Is that clear? All right, let's play on.
Well, Alan Rowland basically is just saying to both captains, and he's brought Peter O'Mahony into it as well, he's just talking about discipline. He said too many players in each other's faces. Still a chance now for more points from Munster. Damien Varley into another Munster line-out. Same again, catch at the front, looking for the drive, and they do get the drive down that far touchline. Varley is in the middle of all of that. Now he detaches. Conor Murray looking for forward runners. Fian Duprier takes it on. Bota, formerly of Ulster, now very much of Munster. Conor Murray. Varley, good tackle. They need it quickly.
No obstruction.
No obstruction, says the referee. Mike McCormick has got to get away, and he does. Peter O'Mahony. Tackled by Neil McComb.
Use it.
Referee has called use it. Good defence yet again by Ulster. Murray looking for a runner. Gets it in the form of Tommy O'Donnell. Ulster's tackling now is desperate. Taken on by Billy Holland, who's tackled there, I think, by Michael Allen. And Ulster get the penalty. And that's very, very good Ulster defence. Difficult conditions. James Downey was the man penalised. Doesn't understand why.
Well, again, it was important. Murray makes a mistake at the base of that ruck, and look how quickly Ulster are through in that. Michael Allen and Mike McComish in particular, the two of those boys, saw that mistake, knew if they could pounce on the Munster defender, it could put him under an awful lot of pressure, and obviously they forced the penalty, and that relieves the pressure. It's an important part now, you know, coming up towards half-time. Ulster won't want to concede any more points.
Well, Niall O'Connor has found his touch, and a pretty decent touch it is. He's taken play to just about halfway. Lewis Stevenson missed 6 games in a row with a little knee ligament problem, but with Dan Toohey out for a wee while longer, and Johan Muller, hugely important for Ulster with the Hannigan Cup coming up again, that Stevenson is fit. Here's Herring. That is Stevenson. O'Connor. Miscue. Oh, well taken by Tommy O'Donnell. Still time for Munster to punish Ulster before the interval. Keatley gets away from the first tackle, swallowed up by Adam Macklin. Conor Murray, Doug Howlett, Peter O'Mahony. Good defence by Ulster. Murray into the last minute of the first half. Paddy Butler. Munster still inside their own 10-metre line, but for how much longer? Keatley. Here's Zebo. Well, this is real enterprise. Casey Lailala puts boot to ball. Well taken by Darcy, who's well taken by Conor Murray.
Onside now.
Darcy sets it up nicely. Rob Herring.
Run away, Red.
Niall O'Connor deputising for the sin bin Paul Marshall. Adam Macklin's well and truly choked by Donnacha O'Callaghan. Taken on by Ulster. This is good work by Herring, who took the pass from Black. Niall O'Connor. Craig Gilroy. Robbie Dyack. Has to release. Munster crowd anticipated Alain Roland, and Robbie Dyack didn't release. Now that's according to the electronic clock on the far side of the ground, that's 40 minutes. There may be time for the kick to touch. And the 40 is up, and Ulster will be pretty happy about that. So apart from conceding the penalty try when they were down to 14 men, it's not been a bad first half by Ulster. And I don't think Mark Anscombe will be too disappointed with that opening 40 minutes, Bryn.
I think he'll be very happy, Jim. They'll only be 10-3 down against a very, very strong Munster side. I think Ulster competed particularly well. Certainly the scrum is the one issue that they'll be talking about at half-time. If they can just tighten that area up a little bit, Marshall come back on the pitch, then they're still got a good opportunity in this game.
Penalty try between them, half-time here at Thomond Park. It's Munster 10 and Ulster 3.
Well, it's been a tight, tense inter-pro derby on a pretty miserable night in Limerick. A match with few scoring opportunities so far. Keatley and O'Connor traded penalties early on, but it has been a game with plenty of mistakes and errors on both sides. Ulster certainly competitive for the first half an hour, but Munster powered their way in front with that penalty try, and then more problems for Ulster before half-time with Paul Marshall sin bin. Munster lead by 10 points to 3, but Ulster certainly very much still in this game. Andy Ward and Maurice Field have been watching the first half with me, and as I said, Maurice, it's been riddled with mistakes and peppered with penalties.
It has, and I think the weather conditions haven't helped to the spectacle that we were looking forward to. That culminating with the fact that we have a lot of players playing the first game for a long time. Say Adam Macklin's back in, Lewis Stevens is in, but Paul Marshall hasn't had that much game time recently, and it's just the wee fundamental mistakes that are knocking things on, and our fielder take our opportunities at the start, and it's culminated in being 7 points down.
It feels like a game which is going to be one of very fine margins, and you need to take your opportunities if you're going to win it, Andy.
Very much so. These interprovincials are always that way. There's never any runaway team at this point. So, listen, Ulster have done okay, but Munster haven't done particularly well themselves. They've made a few mistakes. They're kicking a lot of ball away when perhaps they should be holding on to it, and they're going for little kicks. If you're going to kick the ball in this sort of conditions, go long, put the team back into pressure into there. So, they've got to pick up their socks a little bit as well, considering they're on paper, as we keep going on about, that on paper they're a better side, but clearly it just goes to show you don't play rugby on a piece of paper.
Yeah, early on, as we can see here, Ulster probably should have had an early penalty, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, a great drive here by Lewis Stevens, and you see there Paul Marshall and BJ both have been the competent professional that he was. A lazy runner coming back. Alain Roland was in the right position there. That should have been a penalty to Ulster, and at that stage, those are the small margins and the differences that make the winning and losing of games.
And when Ulster did get their penalty and Niall O'Connor missed a pretty straightforward kick, it's that kind of thing which could prove very costly, Andy.
Yeah, very much so. It's going to go down to the wire, and every 3 points here or there, any points that are on offer, you must take them. And Niall didn't particularly strike that ball very, very well. He's a very good ball striker, as they've alluded to in the commentary, but, that's 3 points, and once again under a little bit of pressure, it's starting to build and build. Niall's very much a confidence player. If he get that first kick over, we'd see a different Niall O'Connor, so hoping he'll bounce back in the next 40.
Luke Marshall, pretty robust first half.
He has. Luke Marshall as well, and Michael Allen as well have been very, very dynamic in the run. Again, he sees the opportunity, he sees the mismatch, he goes in the outside break, showing great set of gas there, and unfortunately we just didn't get the support to him. It's not up to Luke to look for the support. It's up to the support to get to him.
Good bit of skill there as well from carrying the ball in two hands and just keeping the guys guessing. Michael Allen's done very well. I think he's had a good first half. Both centres have done very well. He's very strong, Michael Allen, you know, and he's just riding tackles. They're doing a good job. They seem to be linking nicely in the centre. And this is some of the almost like the clips we saw at the out of the show is where, you know, Luke Marshall's a strong guy, and he just, you know, he's got 3 players on his back there. He's still able to stay strong and just wait for that support to get there. So
yeah, Marshall doesn't give the ball up easily, but this first half really has been dominated by mistakes on both sides, and obviously a lot of those came from Ulster.
Again, there's a slight bit of ring rustiness from Paul Marshall there. Up until, say, before Christmas time there, you would have said Paul Marshall's block kicks would have been exceptional. That one just went straight up and down. Again, Niall O'Connor's got a penalty here. Just doesn't find it. These are the small margins that we have to work on.
You're quite right. It's all fine lines, you know, from what should have been a line out on the 22 for Ulster attacking. You just relieve pressure. You can't do that in these big derby matches.
And this is a great scoring opportunity, to be fair.
We'd created so much at this point. And I think the old term of get the donkeys out of the back line.
Front rows do what front rows are supposed to do. They're not ball handling. Unless their name's John Afore, they're not ball handling players. But I mean, Adam Macklin unfortunately was in that position. But again, that was a 5-2 overlap that we butchered.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed to have found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time there, Andy.
It's a learning curve. You know, he's a young guy. He's still coming on. Unless you're really comfortable in that first receiver position, sit back and let somebody in there and just run a support line. Be that auxiliary back line that you're going to get the ball at some point. But they did. We manufactured a nice little setup there, quick switchback, and it was butchered by Adam Macklin, unfortunately.
And Munster took their opportunity when it came, and I mean they created a very nice move to get themselves into that attacking position.
Yeah, this rolling maul. I mean, the Ulster defence was set up nicely. I think the fortuitous here that when Conor Murphy throws the ball out to Keatley goes for a readjustment, which actually creates the indecision in the Ulster backline. So he throws out here, Keatley a bit of a bobble, that breaks the line up. Luke Marshall caught on the inside, Niall O'Connor didn't get across. And again, potential of a lateral stroke forward pass, and
possibly should have given it to Howlett there.
Should have given it to Howlett, but I think Howlett was covered there by Chris Cochran. But again, good Ulster defence there. They've managed to keep their line up, and Munster haven't crossed the line there. But they do get the resulting scrum.
It all started back from poor defence right at the off at the maul there around the fringes, and this has just led to this pressure. This is about the 3rd or 4th one. Alain Roland, the referee, was always going to his pocket at this point, and then he was going for the try. And Munster, fair play to them, kept the pressure on, kept going the pressure.
And fair decision, the penalty try.
I think it was. I mean, you can't have any more than 3 scrums going down.
Alain Roland had gone to the other side of the scrum for the previous 2, and then he came round to the side. And once the boy drops to his knees, then he has to give the penalty.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll pause there for a moment. Time to bring you up to date with what's been happening in local football today. Let's take a check on the results from the Danske Bank Premiership. And there they are. Ballina-Mallard 1, Crusaders 3. David Key for Ballina-Mallard, and then 3 goals for Crusaders. Gary McCutcheon, Jordan Hughes and Declan Cadell sealing all 3 points. Ballymena 3, Lisburn Distillery 3. Distillery led 3-0. Ballymena fought back for the draw with a 93rd minute equaliser by Mark Surgener. Cliftonville 2, Dungannon Swifts 0. We'll have action in a moment, and we'll see those goals from Liam Boyce and George McMullen. Dunavant 0, Linfield the Champions 3. Brian McCall, Matthew Tipton and Ross Clark on target. Glentoran 5, Donegal Celtic 0. Action coming up as well. And Portadown 2, Coleraine 0. Richard Leckie and Brian Gartland on target. Well, as promised, action now for a couple of those games, starting with the league leaders, Cliftonville. Here's Thomas Keane.
It's been a flawless festive period so far for Cliftonville. Midfielder Jody Lynch's deflected shot almost broke the deadlock just after the half-hour mark against Dungannon Swifts, but goalkeeper Niall Morgan saved well. But there was nothing he could do from the resulting corner kick. Lynch turned provider as striker Liam Boyce was left unmarked in the box to head home his 20th goal of the season. 6 minutes into the second half, Stephen Garrett was brought down on the edge of the penalty area by Swifts defender Francis Brennan. The referee had no hesitation in awarding a penalty kick. Cliftonville captain George McMullen made no mistake from the spot to make it 2-0. Glentoran bounced back from their Big 2 defeat to Linfield against Donegal Celtic. Richard Clark opened the scoring before Eddie Patterson's side doubled their lead shortly after. Jimmy Gallagher heading in Stephen Carson's free kick. With 20 minutes left, the home side made it 3-0. Gallagher's header was initially saved by John Connolly, but Mark Clark was on hand to force in the rebound. Less than 15 seconds after the restart, Glentoran increased their lead further. Richard Clark's pass picked out Stephen Carson, who gave Connolly no chance. Donegal Celtic were handed a golden opportunity to score a consolation goal almost straight away when Paul McVeigh was fouled. But Mark Miskimmon's spot kick struck the crossbar. Things then went from bad to worse for DC in the final minute, as Kevin Keegan was adjudged to have brought down substitute Jim O'Hanlon. Glentoran's top scorer Andrew Waterworth stepped up to make it 5-0.
And you can see all 22 of the goals scored today on Final Score 2. That'll be on the BBC Sports website on Monday. There is the table. Cliftonville still 9 points clear. Linfield move up to 3rd, Glentoran up to 4th, Coleraine slip to 5th, and Portadown are just 3 points away from making it into the top 6. But back to the rugby. Let's get the thoughts of Munster's Alan Quinlan. He's talking to Gavin Andrews.
Well, conditions have played their part, but were you impressed with how Ulster lived with Munster the first 30 minutes?
Yeah, certainly Mark Anscombe will be pretty pleased after the first half. Conditions are horrendous, I think, and Ulster will be disappointed to concede that penalty try. It came from, I suppose the last 10 minutes of the second half, a bit of pressure. It all started with a rolling maul and a good line break by Ian Keatley, and they nearly scored, held up on those series of scrums. So it was, I think Ulster were very impressive first 25-30 minutes. They varied their game, they had a lot of good possession. I think Marshall was very good at scrum half. Niall O'Connor was good directing his players around him. So they were impressive, and they certainly put it up to Munster in that first half.
How do you see things going in the second half? Are Munster likely to pull away?
Well, it's very difficult in the conditions to score a lot in these tries. There's a lot of errors, but I think Munster probably have that bit more power and experience up front, and that told in a few scrums there where they turned Ulster over and got those penalties from. So I think Munster have to be more physically dominant and certainly try and keep that pressure on Ulster physically. And but Ulster, I think, they take a lot of confidence. They're still in the game. It's only 10-3, and they'll come out in the second half and give it a good go again.
Alan, thanks for your time. Stay. My pleasure.
Thank you, Gavin. Ulster, of course, will start the second half with 14 men. Paul Marshall, sin bin, fair enough?
I think so. I think it was Paul Marshall got himself slightly frustrated, not only in his own game, but as you see here, the whistle's gone and he's had a wee dig at Donegal on the ground. I think Donegal wouldn't like to come off a pitch without a couple of tread marks on his back at some stage. That's the way he plays his game. Yeah,
it was just, as you say, it's frustration and nothing, pure and simple. And Donegal Callan's probably got an Oscar medal down there as well, screaming away like a good one. But that's the way it goes, and just frustration for Paul. He needs to sort it out.
But if Ulster can avoid conceding some points here when they're down to 14, they're still very much in this game.
Well, I think it's key that they come out and get first points on the board. I draw first blood. I think they really need to come out, settle themselves in. Mark Ainscomb's probably in the, it's just a fine line here that we're just not quite in the game. We gave away a penalty try. Take that out of the game and there's nothing in this match. I think the conditions, as Quinny said there at half-time, are really taking their toll and playing a massive part in today's game, so it's going to be on the balance.
And how much more pressure on Munster now to get a winning result here with a much more experienced team? Well, at home, of course.
Given the team that they have on paper, as we spoke about earlier, they've got a wealth of experience. They've got so many more internationals than Ulster have. Ulster just have to be a bit more composed when they get into the Munster 22, and with that then they'll pick up the points. And say the pressure is all on Munster to put the performance in. Ulster, we had accepted a loser's bonus points. I think they still have the ability, if they put the performance in, to win this. OK, thank you, Morris. Thank you, Andy. It's a one-score game at the moment. Time to go back to our commentary team, Bryn and Jim.
Well, Craig Gilroy, hopping up and down, would love to get himself into position to score a try or two, because this is a particularly happy hunting ground for him. Munster will be more than happy with the 10-3 lead, and remember, Ulster start the second half with only 14 men. Ronan O'Gara was out warming up, and we saw him just before the game began practicing his goal kicking, and I don't think he missed a single kick at goal. Certainly doesn't miss too many here. So second half underway. 14-man Ulster trailing by 7 points. Munster leading by 10 points to 3. Keatley down once again to Roger Wilson. Into Donnacha O'Callaghan. Well released by Wilson. O'Connor still at scrum half. Robbie Dyack tries to barge his way through. O'Connor again outside the 22, so no direct kick into touch. Luke Marshall's pulled it in field. Paddy Butler covers well. Looks outside him. Changes his mind into Adam Macklin. Well released. Murray thought about the kick and then released it to Keatley. Tommy O'Donnell knocked forward by Munster. Referee playing advantage. Niall O'Connor. And couldn't control a slippery ball, and it's going to be an Ulster scrum. And Niall O'Connor will have to get it in. Rob Herring will have to strike it, and Ulster will have to move this one.
Yeah, Ulster just need to be careful there again, just in defence. They had 1 or 2 shooters there, and had that ball gone to hand, then potentially Munster were through with a bit of an overlap. So, but it's important again for Ulster that they start well. They're still obviously with 14 men here. Just need to hold on to possession. It's useful having Luke Marshall in that position at 12, who can sit back in that pocket while Niall O'Connor fills the vacancy of 9 at present and keep hitting that ball downfield.
Ooh, that's a bit of a slip, I think, on this side. Adam Macklin's studs maybe just not getting the right purchase on the slippery surface here.
I don't need any assistance, thank you very much. Keep your thoughts to yourself, thank you.
Adam Macklin, his first start of the season for Ulster, only started 1 game last season, although he was a fairly regular member of matchday squads. 25th Ulster appearance. And against Fiann Dupree, playing his 76th game for his adopted province of Munster, the South African. Connor must get it in quickly, that's a bit better. Good squeeze. The referee's asked him to do it again. Munster very nearly stole that, and Murray got it away.
Didn't come through the prop sleeve. Same ball.
Same put in, so Ulster have a second chance. The surface, as they used to say in the old days, will take a stud.
I know you're not used to it, but if you can, then try a bit quicker, alright? If you can.
Well, as a former international scrum half, Alan Rowland saying to Niall O'Connor, no, you're not used to it, but try and get it in a little bit more quickly. That's a very generous piece of refereeing from a man who knows exactly what playing at this level of scrum half is. Oh, good drive by Munster. Completely swept Ulster off the ball. Robbie Dyack has come round, and he was onside, but Munster have stolen that. Is there a chance here? Dougie Howlett into a bit of space. Across comes Adam Darcy. Takes it well, needs to get it away. Didn't have time to kick. Referee's having a good look. Ulster have managed to set that one up. O'Connor's got to keep his composure, and he knocked it backward, fortunately. Now where's that going? Michael Allen is chasing. Let the man catch the ball before he made contact. Murray. Munster with dozens of men, it seems, out wide. Here's Loilala. Gets it to Butler. Good cover by Luke Marshall, who's put in another good game here at Thomond Park. Left for Murray. Zebo. Tommy O'Donnell, who's had a habit of scoring against Ulster. Murray. Loilala. Former All Black, former Cardiff Blue. Again, good Ulster defence. This time Roger Wilson, the captain, makes the hit. Slower ball for Munster, but they still have it. Zebo. Varley. Keatley. Clever stuff. Doug Howlett. Here comes Dennis Hurley. Tackle was by Craig Gilroy. Red Machine churns it back. Zebo. Varley slips inside Macomb. Murray again, big gap there is Zebo. Oh, it's a huge gap. Wow, what a mess in the Ulster midfield. And you cannot give this fellow a single sniff. Because if you do, he'll punish you, and that's what's happened.
Yeah, it all came from pressure and good vision by Simon Zebo there. He spotted the gap, he spotted the space. He's lethal in around that ruck area where just at the sides, we see there, good powerful run by a couple of the Munster forwards to set it up first, and Lewis Stevenson just can't make it across. Roger Wilson quite wide there, and that's just an area just of communication. Sometimes you just have to look up and realise who you're up against. You've got to tighten that area up a little bit, get a little bit closer together, because somebody of Zebo's pace will make you look slightly stupid, and sure enough he finishes very, very well. And that all started as well from a scrum where maybe Niall O'Connor shouldn't have listened to Alain Roland, because I don't think Rob Herring knew anything about it. That ball came in just a bit quicker than normal, as we see Zebo again showing a clean pair of heels.
And also his problem, of course, with Paul Marshall off the field is that Niall O'Connor is inside and there's nobody filling that midfield gap. Everybody else has to readjust because Marshall is off the field and they couldn't readjust in time. Marshall is now back on the field again, but in his absence Ulster have conceded 14 points, and he'll be very sorry that he put his foot in the middle of Donncha O'Callaghan's back just before the interval, because having been competing, more than competing, Ulster are now very much in the back foot, and Munster tails up or driving forward. Here goes O'Donnell. Good ground by the Munster pack. Really wanted to take this Ulster side to task. Still smarting after the Heineken Cup quarter-final defeat here at the end of last season. It'll be an Ulster line-out, but Munster are turning up the pressure.
You can just sense they're starting to get their tails up a little bit. What's important from an Ulster perspective defensively is that they try to get a little bit tighter together. Don't be too worried about the outside channels on a night like this where the ball's a little bit slippery. The ground's particularly difficult to run fast on. They're not going to be able to move that ball to the wings that easily. Just make sure that they don't get any breaks in the defence in the inside. That's where the problems will come.
Well, Zebo scored his 17th try for Munster. Here's Rob Herring playing his 11th game for Ulster. Good take by Neil McComb. Marshall, well, got himself disrupted. That binning, I think, has really got to Paul Marshall. Good driving forward by Peter O'Mahony. It's a rampant Munster now, hoping to put Ulster to the sword. Macklin with the tackle. Conor Murray. Keatley. Interception by Chris Cochran. Did he get it backward? I think he did. Munster have regained possession from the breakdown. Laulala looking to put width on it. Peter O'Mahony. Nice sidestep. Quick release. Murray. Laulala again. O'Connor with the tackle and Dyack in there as well. Well, referee reckons Robbie Dyack went off his feet. Now what will Munster do? I'm sure they'll go into the corner.
I think you could clearly see there that first of all, we saw a little mistake at the base there. They didn't look after the ball, didn't protect it. Marshall was put under pressure, was unable to pick it up, and Munster get a head of steam up, and that's where they're dangerous, and certainly their confidence is starting to rise. It was a great bit of play here by Chris Cochran. He read the play very, very well. Very important intercept. Otherwise, that would have been a try.
You okay? Did you get knocked in the head?
I think Robbie Dyack's got a little bump, but he seems to be fine again, and that was where the penalty occurred. No, first time on a wet, miserable Limerick day we've heard the strains of the fields of Athenry ringing round this 28,000 capacity stadium here in the heart of Limerick. Ian Keatley, who's plied his trade with Connacht for a couple of seasons, finds a good touch, and Munster will go for the catch and drive, and it's looking ominous now for Ulster Bryn.
Yeah, Munster see an opportunity here. I think after Zebo's try, they're now looking at a potential bonus point. You can see their spirits have lifted slightly, their intensity is lifted within the pack, and they'll look to try to get a driven maul going here and get the forwards over the line, and certainly from Ulster's point of view they'll need to be very, very solid here in defence to hold them out.
17 points to 3, 2 tries to 0. Munster at this stage I'm sure will be thinking bonus point, and this is the starting point for them. Farley, Donncha O'Callaghan. Now Ulster pulled it down, the referee seems happy enough. O'Donnell's in there as well, and Ulster just tackling as hard as they can, pushing Munster back. Away they come. Here's Peter O'Mahony. Craig Gilroy hangs on to his Irish colleague's leg. Good release by O'Mahony. Tommy O'Donnell leaves it. BJ Bota would love a try against his former province, and he's pretty close to it. And there are the Ulster posts, and there's the ball, and there's Murray. And there's the drive from Butler. Well away by Murray yet again. A little inside step by Keatley when he had men outside him. All the pressure coming from the men in red. Nobody to take the ball. Zebo comes into scrum half. Pick up and drive yet again by Munster. Dupreer waits to pick up and drive. Now he releases. Bota again. Support by Butler. Coming back slowly for Murray, but it's there for Munster. Now it's Murray. O'Mahony's going to get the try. Try number 3 for Munster. And Munster very much in control of this game. And Ulster, when they were down to 14 men, lost their shape and lost control themselves.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very tough time for Ulster now. They're going to have to regroup and think about how they're going to stop this Munster onslaught. You can see very good power by O'Mahony just getting through the tackle there, and obviously Ulster will be a little bit disappointed with that, a little bit soft in the end. Interestingly, they defended the line out particularly well, and it looked like they'd managed to shove Munster back, but their dominance on their one-off runners and clearing out and creating quick ball is just starting to shine through now, and it's putting Ulster defence under an awful lot of pressure.
Well, O'Mahony and Tommy O'Donnell with them, and between the two of them they got Munster's third try. Ian Keatley has kicked the conversion. We've had nearly 11 minutes played in the second half, and Munster leading 24-3, and a couple of replacements coming on for Munster in the considerable shape of Stephen Archer and the very familiar shape of Ronan O'Gara. James Downey is going off. BJ Bota is going off. So one presumes that Ian Keatley will go into the centre to play outside. Ronan O'Gara. It goes from bad to worse for Ulster, and they've got themselves in front of the kicker, Michael Allen, a little bit too anxious, and the ball is back with Munster, and it's a Munster scrum. Oh dear.
Yeah, things aren't looking wonderful for Ulster right now, and that substitution shows what Munster's intentions are now as well. By bringing Downey off and putting Keatley into 12 just increases their attacking opportunities. To have a second fly half in that area allows them to try to get into the wider channels and create a few more passing opportunities to create a few gaps. And O'Gara is obviously a massive amount of experience. He'll look to direct things, and when you look at that bench and look what Munster have to come on, that's what would worry you from an Ulster perspective.
Yes, 11 internationals in the starting 15 and 4 more on the bench. Scary prospect. Nearly 12 minutes of the second half played, 24-3 now to Munster until 6 or 7 minutes of the interval. There was nothing between them. Munster running away with this. Good squeeze. Pick up by Butler. Takes the direct route. O'Mahony. Murray. Keatley. So Garrett inside centre, interestingly. Taken on yet again by Munster. Murray. O'Gara. Oh, perfect by O'Gara. Munster and Ireland's top point scorer of all time, 35 years of age, O'Gara, and he still has that deft little touch.
Yeah, it was a nice little kick by O'Gara, but it does hand possession back to Ulster, and Ulster will be grateful for that. They need to get their hands on the ball. They've been defending an awful lot in this half so far, and what the problem has been for them is they've been unable to slow down the Munster ball that they did pretty well in that first 30 minutes. They need to find a way of slowing that down so Munster can't generate that quick ball for their backs.
There's an Ulster player injured, but Alain Roland has said that play has to go on. Ulster pushed back inside their 22. Paul Marshall just saying to the referee there's somebody lurking offside on the narrow side. This is better stuff by the Ulster pack. Injured player seems to be fit again. Callum Black's got himself in the way. Ball taken in by Ulster and not released, and Munster get the scrum.
Yeah, disappointing for Ulster. Good initial drive, but a lack of communication. Initial two broke off. We saw Callum Black and Michael McComish breaking off in front of the rest. The rest either were not told, it wasn't communicated, or didn't look up to see what was happening, and as a result of that they got isolated, and the experienced Munster pack were able to hold them up and obviously force a turnover.
Peter O'Mahony Born in Cork some 23 years ago, now capped 9 times by Ireland and was outstanding in the autumn series. Happy playing either 6 or 7. Played in all 3 of the tests against New Zealand, where Simon Zebo won his first cap. One of Munster's try scorers, penalty try in the first half, Zebo, and the man injured, O'Mahony, in the second half. This is Zebo. A huge gap appeared. Remember, no Paul Marshall, so everybody had to move inside, and there was simply no cover, and he ran between 2 Ulster forwards. And this is Munster's 3rd try. O'Mahony just squeezing through with the assistance of Tommy O'Donnell. Got right in behind him and will claim an assist, I'm sure, but O'Mahony will get the try, and he seems to be fine.
Yeah, he looks okay. And going back to Zebo's try there, Jim, it's important from a defensive perspective that you look up and you see who you're up against, and obviously it's something that backs try to do as much as possible. They try to get themselves into position where they're running against forwards, particularly tight 5, where they can potentially get a soft shoulder and show them a clean pair of heels. And I think from that point of view, they need to get a little bit tighter whenever that happens.
Big John Hayes there with the specs. Paul O'Connell looking pretty happy. I wonder whether we'll see Paul O'Connell in the near future playing rugby again. One certainly hopes so. Captain on the last Lions tour. Does he have ambitions of another one? Clock starts again. We played nearly 14 minutes in the second half, but it's 24-3 in Munster's favour, and they're in possession. And this is their strength. Good control. Murray, O'Gara, Keatley. Good tackle by Luke Marshall, who's had a terrific game, and Ulster get the penalty. Ronan O'Gara coming in the side.
A wonderful defence by Luke Marshall. Munster trying to open it up a little bit, but Marshall stands firm, gets over that ball, forces O'Gara to come in from the side because he can see that they're going backwards and they don't have any support.
Pretty decent strike by Niall O'Connor. Had 10 minutes at scrum half. Now this fella has had a very, very good season. Had his injury problems a year ago, Luke Marshall, but he's really come back into it. There's Billy Holland, the son of former Irish international and former Munster manager Jerry Holland. Stephen Archer backing up Donica O'Callaghan. Quite a little bit annoyed that Rob Herring has taken so long to dry the ball. Good take. Marshall, O'Connor, Roger Wilson. A little bit flat. The momentum was lost there. Luke Marshall coming in the side, so Ulster, having gained the advantage, have given it back.
Yeah, it was good play. You could see what they were trying to do. Unfortunately, Roger Wilson got a little bit flat on Niall O'Connor. It meant he had to stop on the pass, and also meant that Luke Marshall had overshot the play, and it put them under a lot of pressure. And it's those little errors, just getting it fractionally wrong, that the defensive side are going to come through and put pressure on you. And lovely kick by Ronan O'Gara. You don't often see the spiral kick used anymore in the touch, but he's still one of the few men that does it, and does it particularly well.
Makes it sing sometimes.
Line's the middle. Line's the middle.
Now what will Munster do? Will they take a forward or two out somehow? I don't think so. It'll be the throw to the front and they'll drive. Robbie Dyack lining up to see what is going to unfold. Mike McComish. Good take by O'Callaghan. Straightforward ball. O'Gara. Laulala. Again, Ulster's midfield, a full midfield, defends well. Billy Holland. Didn't quite go to plan, but it's gone backward. Butler tries to set it up and does so. Murray. Stephen Archer. Adam Macklin told to get away. He's trying to get out of it, and he does get out of it. O'Gara. Tommy O'Donnell. There were men outside. In fact, there's a whole raft of red jerseys out there. Now they have it. Here's O'Gara. Soft little pass. Dougie Howlett still aggressive. Stephen Archer again. Little rumble coming from the Thomond Park faithful here. And that rumble turns to a groan of despair as the penalty is given away on the ground, I think, by Stephen Archer.
It was just got a little bit isolated. Rob Herring does very well to get over that ball, force the penalty, and very good defence by Ulster there. A lot more determination to get off the line. That's what they're going to have to do if they want to try and pin this Munster side back and not allow them to gain any territory. They need to make sure they don't, talked about it a little bit earlier, generate that quick ball that they can get up in their faces and put the pressure on, and they can't do that.
Ulster going to bring on 3 forward replacements. Niall Annette coming on, Tom Court, man of the match last week against Leinster, and Ali Birch coming on for a rare start this season. So off go Messrs Herring and Black. Interesting, Tom Court coming in to play his normal loose head position. Straight into action, not a bad throw by Niall Annette. Detaches himself. O'Connor, Luke Marshall. Lovely little gliding run there by Luke Marshall, and again Ulster get the penalty. Now, interesting, what is Alain Roland going to do here?
Come around the gate.
He's just telling off Paddy Butler for coming in from the side instead of from the rear of that ruck situation. O'Connor not wasting any time and finding a good touch kick. Well, 24-3, as they say, 3 quick tries and Ulster are back in this, Brent.
No, they are, and nice little show of the ball by Luke Marshall there again. Just an example to kids watching the game at holding the ball in 2 hands, just holds the defence that fraction longer and allows him just to get through a half shoulder and get over the gain line, and obviously force the penalty as well, and puts Ulster now in a good attacking position.
That's a good throw and a good take. Not a great setup, but Annette tidies it up himself. Crowd claiming that Ulster might have nudged it forward. Referee disagrees. Roger Wilson, who really has grafted away this evening, taking a lot of big thumps. Lewis Stevenson, be glad to get back playing again after a 6-game absence.
Ball's there. Stay.
Paul Marshall. Varley offside.
Hold it.
Now, is he going to go for the pocket? Because that was pretty deliberate looking. Donogh O'Callaghan is protesting everybody's innocence.
Listen to me, okay? You had a man coming
And
in
O'Mahony.
here slowing down quick ball. You had a man here slowing down quick ball. Okay, we're in an area now that we're going to escalate it to something else that continues. Okay, thank you.
So Alain Roland has told them off. No more of this messing around, and O'Connor is going for the corner. Well, that was a very unfortunate period for Ulster either side of the interval when they were down to 10 men, and there's another change on the Ulster side. Stuart Olding is coming on for only his 3rd Ulster cap. Niall O'Connor has gone off. Good throw by Annette. A clever little variation at the line out by Ulster. So there's certainly no lack of confidence despite the 21-point deficit in terms of the scoreboard. Have Munster turned that one over? I think they have, you know. Well, the crowd will tell you that indeed is the case, and that's unfortunate for Ulster. Tom Court and Vain Dupree getting stuck into each other. Referee's just saying, walk away, walk away. It is hard.
It's always hard to walk away.
You would never have got involved in anything like that, would you?
I was too far away from the play at fullback, Jim. Otherwise I would have loved it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's going to be a scrum. Alain Roland's going to have a little word with somebody. What's he saying? No, he's not. He's happy just to let them get on with it, but it is going to be a Munster put in. Well, we've 20 minutes remaining, and that crucial period, as we mentioned, either side of the interval, when Ulster had 14 men, really cost them. Midway through a very busy period for both sides. Up next for Ulster, the game against the Scarlets at Ravenhill next Friday, a game that you can see with us here on BBC television, and then back-to-back Heineken Cup games, Glasgow at home, and then the trip to Castra. And Ulster may well have to win both of those games if they're going to secure a quarter-final spot in the senior club competition in Europe. They're still in pole position in this particular competition, the Rabo Direct Pro 12. Munster starting to creep up the table. Bit of a delay by Murray, but that's fine. Better looking Ulster scrum, but Tom Court penalised for stepping up. And again, well, Tom Court coming across the scrum. Alan Rowland, you may have heard saying 18 going across. Court trying to put the squeeze on when we did come up. Lionel Net up in the middle of that as well, and the penalty was given against Tom Court, against his former teammate. In fact, it's not his former teammate, because BJ Bota has gone off the field, of course. It's Stephen Archer. Good strike by Ronan O'Gara. Right, here comes a man who's been around, it seems, forever. Now 35 years of age. 215 games for Munster, 67 for Ireland. Marcus Horan. And off goes Vian Dupree. Damien Varley. Well taken by O'Donnell. Annette gets back to make the tackle. Munster still inside their own half, but not for long. Oh, O'Gara's running it. Hurley sells a bit of a dummy, got it away nicely. That's a clever kick. May just be overdone. Is it going to go completely dead? Yes, it is. Clever appreciation of the laws there by Chris Cochran, because the ball was moving. Now, what has the referee given? Has he given it 22?
6.
Well, that's interesting. I thought they might have gone back for the scrummage. Let's have a look at that, Bryn. You tell me.
Well, it should be back for the scrummage. There's no doubt about it. I think the Ulster players are protesting, waiting for the decision to be made, but they decided that...
Well, we didn't see it there. James Collin has come on the field. Not sure what the touch judge on the far side was doing there, because the ball was moving, and Chris Cochran, when he dotted the ball down, his feet were out of play. However, Stuart Olding, it's not a bad restart kick. Well taken in by O'Donnell. Avoided the attentions of Roger Wilson. Conor Murray, here's O'Gara. Oh, that's cleverly done. This could be interesting as Devo gathers, and he doesn't. Here's Cochran. Has to go to ground, and it's squeezed into touch for a Munster line-out. That was very dangerous. Remember, Munster, one more try and they've got the bonus. Taken quickly by Munster. Here's Dougie Howlett, the skipper. Paul Marshall with the tackle. Laulala. Good offload, Keatley. Varley. Good tackle by Stevenson. Varley sets it up. Murray. Billy Holland. O'Gara. Little chip through. Adam Darcy. 22 again.
Well, Ulster coming under a bit of pressure, but the defence has held very firm there, and again forced Munster into the kick. And that again is just a bounce of the ball. It's a lovely deft little kick by O'Gara. He knew Ulster were slightly tight in defence, slightly narrow and very flat, and had that ball bounced forward into Zebo's hands, with Butler with him as well, and Keatley, it could have been a bit of trouble for Ulster.
Ulster bringing on another couple of replacements as we look again at that nice bit of handling. That looked a little tad forward, I have to say. Good covering by Lewis Stevenson. There's the clever chip kick through, and Adam Darcy just shepherded over the line. Ricky Lutton, I have a feeling, has come on for Ulster, as indeed has replacement second row Alan O'Connor for just the second cap. Great take by Munster. O'Gara. Pace has really picked up. The rain has disappeared. Pitch is still a bit slippery, but the ball seems to be in pretty good nick. Dummy by Laulala. Well shackled by Luke Marshall, who's been pretty good for Ulster all evening. O'Gara. Oh, cleverly done. Gilroy rode the tackle well, showed great strength and resilience. Got himself absolutely clattered by the formidable James Coughlin. Or Colin, as they say in this part of the world. Well, good dummy. Wonderful stuff by Ali Birch. Plenty of pace from the flanker. Birch still going. Well, that's very encouraging when you see a man out in his own and everybody gets in behind him. Luke Marshall. Kick for Michael Allen to chase. Well covered by Paddy Butler, and does absolutely the sensible thing and calls for the marker, the clean catch, and nothing Luke Marshall could do about that. Nicely done by Olding, well chased.
Yeah, well, you could see Michael Allen was calling for it, but Paddy Butler read the situation very, very well. Got back and took the ball in the full. But what a break by Ali Birch. again, somebody that's featured very, very little this season, been left out in the cold slightly, and will want to have taken his opportunity and showed a great bit of pace and also some very nifty footwork to make a 40-50 yard break there, and managed to break a couple of tackles as well, just to hold the ball up long enough for the Ulster attack to come through and retain possession.
Well, Michael Heaney is coming on, and I think Munster are going to change their scrum half as well, so Paul Marshall will go off, no doubt to reflect on his sin binning. Quickly back, Heaney straight into action and holding. Luke Marshall, Ali Birch again, just relishing being back in an Ulster jersey. Quick ball now by Ulster. Lovely wristy pass. Here goes Gilroy. They know all about him here in Thomond Park. Aggressive stuff by Michael Heaney. Munster looking suspiciously offside. Ricky Lutton, Ulster's replacement prop. Heaney, Luke Marshall. Zebo decides to let it go. Sensible move by Zebo. Thought about it, changed his mind.
Another very good probing kick by Marshall deep into the Munster 22, and very good play actually by Ulster, particularly in the backs, as we see Peter Stringer coming on with, everybody knows well, plenty of experience there now to try and move things forward for Munster. But Ulster will be very happy with that. A lot of these substitutions haven't made any difference to the Ulster penetration, and in fact, if anything, we're seeing something like adding a little bit of pace to it, and obviously the weather's dried up slightly. It's made the handling of the ball just slightly better as well.
Well, Munster hit that 15-minute purple patch either side of the interval, scoring 3 converted tries to put the game, it seems, beyond Ulster, who have not given up. Munster churning forward. Ireland's most capped scrum half, Peter Stringer, on the park. One of 8 or 9 Munstermen who've made more than 200 appearances for their province. Stringer to O'Gara, how often has that been said down the years? Chris Cochran did well. Adam Darcy is told to go forward, and he does go forward. Big tackle by O'Donnell, but Darcy gets it back. Munster looking for another turnover, haven't made it. Alan O'Connor is in there, well away by Tom Court. Luke Marshall, proving quite a handful for the Munster defence. He's been very impressive. Michael Heaney, Stuart Olding, well taken by Roger Wilson. Robbie Dyack, not his finest hour, Robbie Dyack.
Well, Robbie Dyack will be disappointed with that. Obviously it was a poor pass originally and put them under a little bit of pressure. Probably the only option was just to put it in behind, but maybe the wrong person, the ball in hand. You see Adam Darcy trying to attack from deep. Also do well to retain possession here, and just after that bit of play we saw another very, very strong run by Luke Marshall, who's had another very good game this evening. He's looked very strong in contact and managed to break tackles and hand off people at the same time.
Just over 10 minutes remaining. Good line out. Stringer, O'Gara, Zebo in from the wing. Lalala, interception almost. Somebody's got themselves hurt. The pass was forward, says the referee, and it looks as if Craig Gilroy's got himself hurt in that.
Time off here. Have a look.
Or was it Ali Birch? No,
7 red.
it was Craig Gilroy. Tommy O'Donnell's going off. Gilroy getting up very gingerly.
I'd like to see that maybe just one more time in slow motion. It looked maybe like a trailing leg just caught him as he's about to take intercept. It might have been a bit of foul play, just slightly, possibly slightly intentional there. Knew that the intercept was possibly on and just wanted to stop Gilroy's progress by leaving a loose boot just out there, and it certainly caught Gilroy, but he seems okay.
Well, he's gone off the field, and Ricky Andrew, wearing number 23, has come on for Ulster.
Well, that certainly looks more precautionary than anything. He was walking off with not too much of a limp, so I can't imagine that'll cause him too much discomfort for the next week.
Well, and with Tommy Bowe out though for the foreseeable future, the last thing Ulster want to do is lose another Irish international wing three-quartered. So Ricky Andrew is on. Dave O'Callaghan has come on wearing number 19 in the back row for Munster. It's a much better Ulster scrummage. And Munster penalised for whipping it round.
Coming out of the scrum, this one. Okay, they drove straight on this occasion. Front row coming up out of the scrum.
Stuart Olding not wanting to waste any time. Good left-footed kick down the line. Well, apart from that pretty awful 15 minutes, I think Mark Anscombe will be very pleased with a lot of his young tyros who've come through this pretty stern examination.
Absolutely, a couple of the young bucks like the likes of Luke Marshall and Michael Allen in the centre, I thought have been very, very good, very physical, and some of the substitutions have put their hand up. Niall Annette here about to throw in, has been on the money in every throw. Hopefully that won't have put the scud on him. Yet again he hits his man.
And that man was Robbie Dyack. Stephen Archer not in any great rush to get out of it. And Munster pinched that one. It's all a bit slow for Ulster. Michael Heaney wants it quickly. Taken in by Ulster and they couldn't play it, and that's good defensive work by Munster, who'll get the put into the scrum. About 8.5 minutes remaining. 24-3 between them. Tom Court and Donnacha O'Callaghan, who played together for Ireland on quite a few occasions, exchanging not quite pleasantries. Good sensible refereeing by one of the best in the business, Anna Roland. Now, any chance of Ulster putting the pressure on this Munster scrum, do you reckon, Bryn?
Well, certainly the last scrum looked pretty good, and they got the nudge on them, and it'll certainly look to do the same again.
Ricky Lutton on the tight head side. That's not a bad scrum, but Munster looking solid, and penalty against Ulster yet again.
You're dropping and you're coming across.
Roger Wilson seems to have tweaked his leg as that scrum went round, just trying to hold on to it.
Time off.
The referee's called for some medical assistance for Roger Wilson.
Don't stir the fire.
Well, Ulster will be fairly happy this last 15 minutes, obviously. With Munster stretching away to 24-3, it looked a little bit worrying from an Ulster point of view. Obviously Munster's heads and tails were up. They looked like they had potential there for scoring a number more tries, and Ulster's defence has held firm, and they've looked a little bit sharper in attack. They've looked like they've added a little bit of intensity to the game. I think they've probably got together some of the more senior players, although there are only a couple of them in this present side, have obviously said, listen, we've got to try and get up in the faces, try and put Munster under a little bit more pressure. If we allow them to get easy ball, then we're going to be defending for the last 35 minutes of this.
Looks as if Roger Wilson is fine. I heard referee Anna Roland saying to Donnacha O'Callaghan, come on Donnacha, don't stoke the fire. In other words, don't try to stir things up a little bit. Munster still inside their own half, but only just. Here's Varley, Billy Holland, Stringer, James Cullen, O'Gara, Casey Lalala. Again, getting no change whatsoever. But of Ulster's defence, O'Gara again, quicker ball this time, O'Callaghan. Nice little pop pass. That's what they want, the quick ball. I think Felix Jones has slipped on the field somewhere. Ulster straying offside, crowd baying for the penalty, but they haven't got it. Donnacha O'Callaghan. Keatley, who's very quick, given half the chance. Good covering by Ulster. O'Connor got across. Stringer. Marcus Horan, one of Ireland's most mobile props of recent vintage. O'Gara just to keep the lid on things. What a clever kick. Straight out of the Ronan O'Gara playbook.
Well, that's what he's done for years. Very similar to David Humphreys for Ulster. He did it for years as well, just probing the corners with those wiper kicks that put the back three under an awful lot of pressure and manages to put him in a strong position. But obviously Niall Annette has been very, very good with his throwing since he came on, and Ulster will look to secure this ball and try to get out of their 22 and again try and put a little bit of pressure in this Munster team. Will not want to lose a try at this stage of the game.
Annette, a little dummy there by Annette. Referee says hang on a minute.
Don't delay, don't delay. Stay on the ground until it's in.
Referee saying to Niall, don't delay the throw, and he didn't actually do a little dummy there. And Munster asked to stay on the ground before the ball goes in. 5 minutes remaining. Munster still looking for that elusive bonus point. Great take. Dyack. Heaney needs to find his touch. He's found Zebo, who's tackled by Cochran. Good work by O'Gara. Stringer. Butler. Well, Luke Marshall has been outstanding with ball in hand and in defence. Well away by Stringer. Beautifully done. He won't mind me calling him a veteran. He's been around forever, it seems, and still looks lively. Penalty against Ulster. Roger Wilson not getting away.
Well, that's what Ulster don't want to do. They don't want to concede penalties in around the halfway line, because O'Gara will just put it deep into the Ulster 22. Puts Munster in another good attacking position. But once again, we see Luke Marshall's strength in defence, and he's had Casey Lalala in his pocket all day in the drift. He's made sure that he hasn't made too many inroads, but he's also tackled some of the bigger forwards. Obviously one slip up early in the half where he allowed O'Mahony to come through on top of him, but other than that he's had a fairly faultless display.
Damien Varley drying the ball. Donnacha O'Callaghan was having a word with his great buddy Peter Stringer. So have they got something up their sleeves here? O'Callaghan has gone to the back. Maybe the throw in the middle and a tap down to Stringer. Bit too long. That could work out all right for Munster, who've managed to claim it underneath the Ulster post. Penalty against Munster. Hanging on in the tackle. Well, Munster haven't scored for half an hour. Just about. Well away by Olding, dropping that almost in our laps.
I was getting very excited there. I wanted to take that.
Well, I never remember you dropping too many when you were playing, so you certainly wouldn't want to drop this one when you're holding a microphone and a set of earphones on. Neil McComb's struggling a little bit. Three minutes remaining. Niall Annette. That's a good throw. Michael Heaney. Stuart Olding has a go himself. Roger Wilson doing a bit of cleaning out. Luke Marshall taken off at the ankles. Varley in the middle. That's a penalty against him. Didn't roll away at the tackle. Well, I don't think Ulster are going to get close to retrieving a losing bonus point, but there'll be a lot of pride coming away from this fixture, even though they've been beaten. And that all happened, as we said, when they were down to 14 men.
Yeah, and it's a good experience as well, more than anything, for some of these younger fellas. You know, for some of the guys, the likes of a Luke Marshall and Michael Allen, to get a lot of game time. Chris Cochran, you know, getting the full 80 out in the wing, has looked very productive in the few opportunities that he's got as well. And
that went awry, but knocked forward by Munster. Munster very anxious to regain possession, to get back up into the Ulster half and get that elusive fourth try, and therefore the bonus point. A 5-pointer here for Munster would certainly help their chances of getting into the final four in this Pro 12 competition. Well, Penny, and on his right Anthony Foley. He's been assisting with the Irish national side. Both sides with all 7 replacements on show. Quick strike by Annette. Penalty against the Munster front row this time. Man of the match, according to the man in the PA system, is the Munster flanker Tommy O'Donnell. I think Luke Marshall might just have run him close. Well, this is very interesting. Ulster have opted for the scrummage.
They've obviously decided that they're able to withhold the Munster pressure now in that area. It was an area of concern in the first half. As the game's moved on, and with the introduction of Tom Court as well, it's stabilised slightly, and it's a decent attacking platform. And Heaney's been good since he's come on too. He's been fairly sharp at getting the ball away.
Again, another young man whose chances this season have been pretty limited. There's the scrum has gone down on the Ulster tight head side. Ricky Lutton against the vastly experienced Marcus Horan, a member of the World Cup sides in 2003 and 2007, and a double Heineken Cup winner with Munster, against the very inexperienced Ricky Lutton. Lutton might have been responsible for taking that down. The referees come round to this side to have another look at them. Clock is back on again. We've only about 15 seconds of normal time to go. Quicker ball. Ooh, good scrum, and this time it is a penalty. So what will Ulster do? Will they go for another scrum? Heaney takes the tap. Away they go. Here's Wilson, who has battled away manfully and led splendidly all evening. Heaney. Niall Annette, another great prospect. Former Irish under-20 captain. Here's Heaney, nicely done. Oh, beautiful inside pass. Dyack. Ali Birch is going to score for Ulster. What a flourish, what a finish. What a way to end the game. And Ulster have come right back in it, and hostilities have broken out. Donnacha O'Callaghan and Niall Annette involved, and one or two others putting their tuppence worth in off camera. But Ali Birch will be pleased about his first try for Ulster. He's looked hungry, he's looked aggressive, and a bit of an unsavoury end to a match that has certainly had its moments. But what a good finish by Ulster, and they'll take a lot from this. They won't take a single point. Well done by Heaney. What a pass.
Well, it was a wonderful bit of play. Heaney was superb there, saw the gap, lovely in and out, lovely little flick pass back into Robbie Dyack. You see it again here, just showed the ball, two hands again, gets Zebo out of the play. Dyack times the pass to perfection, and Birch has been outstanding since he's come on as well. You have to say that a few of these substitutions have made a real impact for Ulster.
Well, I think Mark Anscombe, who'll be watching this attempted conversion by Stuart Olding, will be more than pleased, despite that little blip either side of the interval when Ulster conceded 3 converted tries. It has not been a bad performance from a vastly inexperienced Ulster side, but you don't get experience until you play at this level, and so many of them have shown that they can stand up and play at this level. This is going to be the last act of this last game for Ulster of 2012. It's on to 2013 and the visit of the Scarlets next Friday to Ravenhill. And while the loss will hurt, the performance will not. Olding. Oh, what a good strike. What a nice finish. And that brings down the curtain on another calendar year of rugby. Ulster end the year with a loss here at Thomond Park by 24 points to 10, but a lot of pluses have come out of this game, Bryn.
That was an excellent finish. The last 20-25 minutes was outstanding. Ulster dominated a lot of the play. As I mentioned, a lot of the subs came on and made an impact, and I think if you took before the game and you said 24-10 restricted Munster, they didn't get a bonus point, I think that's a pretty good return.
Well, it was 10-3 at the interval at one stage. It was 24-3, but back came Ulster and finished with a flourish. A lot of pluses, as we mentioned. Ulster have lost this game. Their unbeaten league record has gone. Their unbeaten record went a couple of weeks ago for this season so far, but it's on to 2013. Final score here is Munster won this one. It's Munster 24. And Ulster